Welcome everyone to Progressive Discussions, and it happens to be Monday. Oh yeah, it's a very humid, drizzly Monday here in New Jersey. It's June 17, 2019, and I am here with my co-host, the one and only Gary W. Owens. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm pretty good. You?
Good.
Just having some vapes.
Good. All right, that's good. That's cool. You know, I was going to get one of the imported German wheat beers, but I decided to just grab some filtered zero filtration system, by the way, better than Brita. Zero water with Concord grape juice, unsweetened, in the tiki glass. So next time I'll grab an imported beer, because then we're gonna start doing reviews, and it'll get mixed in with the main, you know, backbone of the show, you know.
Right, and I've just got water.
Yeah, because I don't want to mix fermented beverage reviews with politics and things like that. Now, I want to start off by saying I'm pretty sick and tired of listening to the American media constantly support the corporatist, moderate centrists, touchy-feely Joe Biden. And of course, they say nice things about Elizabeth Warren because it's politically correct to do so because she's a female, and Kamala Harris once in a while. And nothing or negativity about Bernie Sanders, who happens to be the most progressive of all the 1,001 dummycrats or democrats that are running for 2020. But the media doesn't help. I'm going to say it publicly and live. Yes, I believe the media is controlled by the corporate oligarch, the puppet masters pulling the strings. And the media does not want democratic socialism or just plain old socialism. And the corporations certainly don't want it because they're stingy and greedy and do not want to pay any taxes at all, except for stealing natural resources worldwide with the military-industrial complex. They don't want a Bernie Sanders. They don't want anything free for the lower 98% of the poor. They want to privatize everything because they're greedy motherfuckers. Now,
exactly.
Yeah, and the media, even CNN, you know, everything's about Biden. Hey, touchy-feely Biden. Everything's about Biden, and they actually seem to be discouraging people away from Bernie Sanders, who's really the only. He's not the lesser of the two evils. He's the much lesser of the two evils. But you know, he has human frailties, like during 2016. He capitulated after the DNC convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He capitulated. He could have ran as an independent. He had legions of people showing up at his rallies, much more than Trump and Hillary Clinton put together. But he capitulated because he was so afraid of Trump getting elected. Well, guess what? The Trumpanzee Trumpenstein got elected anyway. So you know, this is the story with our media, oligarch control, and the stupid, idiot, lemming Americans out there, the mainstream population, the American voters, the suck-up sycophants of the corporate oligarch, or should I say, the naive, easily deceived lemmings of the U.S. media. They are not, they do not want to give up capitalism. They want to obsessively hang on to any shreds of capitalism that are left. They don't want to give it up. They feel capitalism is like God's system, or it's the best. It's best for them because the idiots still believe in trickle down economics when it was proven by the CEO of Papa John's Pizza, who claimed, I am not obligated to share my company's prosperity with my employees. Therefore, trickle down can work if it's allowed, but it's not allowed. So these idiots out there that vote, they don't want to give up on capitalism. They don't want to believe capitalism is the devil's economics for those that are religious. Yeah, I would say it's pretty wicked. It's rigged. It's always been rigged. And hey, even your wonderful founding fathers were too lazy to get their cracker asses out on the field like the Amish and run their own plantations. Even they had slaves, and you know, of course, you know, there wasn't equality across the board even back then. So the system sucks. The system's rigged. The Industrial Revolution is the most evil. Thanks to Manchester, England. Thank you, United Kingdom, for the birth of that. And then you had, of course, the first oligarchy with J.P. Morgan and Carnegie and Cornelius Vanderbilt and the rest of the scumbags. So that's it. That's my monologue about how the media keeps pushing that sleepy, well, I call him touchy-feely Joe Biden, who's feeling out there for whatever bribe might come his way from the donors. He keeps flip-flopping on the issues. Yes, Beta, whatever the fuck his name is, Beto O'Rourke is right. He does flip-flop on the issues, Joe Biden, but the media wants him. The American people are brainwashed with this annoying word, you know, moderate centrist. We have to go down, you know, the political experts say, oh, America is really a centrist country. People want, you know, to compromise. They want a little of both. Well, fuck them, because it's not going to do them a damn bit of good. There's most or all of their money is still going to go towards living expenses. The cost of living will always be higher than the average wage. Okay, by the time all the states raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour, the cost of living is going to be still much higher than the $15 an hour. Because why? Because the right wing wants to gradually increase the minimum wage to $15 an hour over the course of years. Even our former Wall Street scumbag governor, Phil Murphy, okay, who's a Democrat, even he wants to gradually raise the minimum wage over the course of years. Well, of course, you know, people on Twitter, everybody unanimously agrees that if you gradually raise it to 15, the racketeering cost of living and let's just say, you know, everything we pay for as part of the cost of living is privatized. You know, utilities, power company, cable TV, so insurance, car insurance, so on and so forth, home insurance. It's all privatized. So I say the racketeering cost of living will shoot way above $15 an hour. And Yes, I did have an ample supply of Trader Joe's extra dark coffee today, black. So you can tell. That's it. My
Good
monologue, my monologue is done. Here's your buddy. Don't
Oh, good.
don't believe anything you hear about me. It's all fake news. Yes, it is. I'm wonderful. I'm great. Europeans love me. The world loves me. America loves me. Oh,
Not me.
here. Oh, I'm so excited. My skull's ready to explode. Okay.
All right.
So
There's,
yours, Chief.
all right. There's one thing about old Joe Biden I'm surprised the media is not bringing up. And I remember this whenever there was the heat of the gun control issues of 2012 and 2013. Shotgun Joe's Shotgun Emporium. You can go to old Shotgun Joe's Shotgun Emporium. He's going to sell you one type of shotgun, double barrels, over and under, or side by side. You want to fend off an intruder? Fire off 2 12-gauge blasts and look like an idiot because now you just have an empty shotgun with no shells that can be used as a weapon. But hell, you can now use it as a club. I'm surprised they're not bringing that up because that's when he was saying you don't need an AR-15 for women. Well, I hate to burst your bubble, Joe. Not a lot of women out there can handle a 12-gauge shotgun, regardless of whether it's a double barrel, single barrel, pump action, semi-auto, full auto.
Well, only a burly, athletic, butch woman could do it, but the average woman can't. You're right.
I mean, you can go online and see women shooting shotguns, and it either flies out of their hand after they shoot it because they don't know how to hold on to it correctly, or it's just too much recoil for them. So when they shoot, it does this. Watch. They get up. Where'd my shotgun go? Or they're getting ready to shoot it. Bam! They fall flat on their ass.
Well, I have seen video clips of a younger Senator Joe Biden in action, and he's no progressive. I'll tell the American public right now, he is no progressive. He's not only a centrist, he is more to the right of a Democrat. And I watched a younger Elizabeth Warren debate him, and Elizabeth Warren has stuck to her guns in a progressive way throughout her career, not as much as Bernie Sanders, but Joe Biden is definitely not even a centrist. So I'm telling you right now, you people out there that believe the media and support Joe Biden and keep him on top of the polls, you're fucking idiots. You're brain cell deficient.
Right.
And that's it about the campaign.
Right, and I did want to get back about the AR-15 because the AR-15 is like one of the best home defense weapons you could think of because it's very easy to reload. You just got a couple magazines. You just press a button, magazine drops out, drop a new magazine in, and very low recoil. I mean, anyone can shoot an AR-15. I mean, and then you go online and see women shooting a shotgun compared to an AR-15. For a woman, an AR-15 is great, but it is very, very loud. When that bullet leaves that barrel, it's traveling over 3,000 feet per second. Whenever I took my friend to shoot guns for the first time, we shot my AR-15. I ended up selling it later, but when we shot the AR-15, the one thing he noted about it was fucking loud. But it was one of the easiest guns he had ever shot. He loved shooting it. So if a gun like that can appeal to all different types of shooters, newbies all the way up to experts, despite what the media wants to say about it, it is a gun that millions of Americans own and millions of Americans responsibly use every day with their standard capacity magazines. I'm sorry, 30 rounds is not high capacity. 30 rounds is a standard capacity magazine for that weapon. You want to talk high cap, 45 rounds, 75-round drum, 100-round drum, that's high capacity.
So Americans cannot, except for the black market, Americans cannot legally purchase the real hardcore military version of the AR-15. Is that correct?
All right. So what would be considered the military grade version of an AR-15 where it's got You can have some of the mil-spec features of the weapon, but the one thing that you absolutely cannot have is either select fire or fully automatic. You can have a grip, you can have a suppressor, you can have different sights, but burst fire and full auto is virtually illegal in the United States, because this is one thing I want to throw out to the Republicans out there who claim that, Reagan was this true conservative who really didn't pass all these liberal laws, when in reality, he did. He got past I think it was correct me if I'm wrong, but there's so many different firearm regulations, but I think it was the Brady Act, which basically allowed for full auto weaponry to be banned after I think it was like May 19th, 1986. If it was manufactured before that date, then you could have a full auto weapon. Anything after that date is illegal, no matter what kind of process you try to go through. So a modern AR-15 cannot be legally converted to fully automatic weaponry, even if you try and through the ATF and go through all the paperwork, red tape, what have you. It's not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, all the other military features like threaded barrels, suppressors, flash hiders, different scopes, stocks, things like that. I mean, those are completely fine.
Okay. Well, you people out there got an education in firearms, because Gary W. Owens, in my opinion, is an expert on firearms. My friend, one of my best friends, Jimmy Liguori, a former county cop, and both of you had told me that the old Samuel Colt 45 revolvers are not necessarily that obsolete. I'm talking about
Not really.
the ones that, where you don't have to kick back the hammer,
Right.
that flop, it goes come out sideways, and yeah, the later Samuel Colts,
Right. You can still buy a 45 Colt weapon, but the first two that come to mind are the Taurus Judge and the Taurus Governor. I believe the Taurus Judge shoots 45 Colt, and it can also shoot a 410 handgun. The Taurus Governor can shoot 45 Colt, 410 handgun, and it can also shoot 45 ACP with a moon clip. A moon clip is where you have, how you've got your 6 shots in the cylinder. A moon clip holds 3, and then 3 you just pop it in the cylinder. There you go, moon clip.
Yeah. Well, in the words of my Uncle Phil, you want a lot of punch to your firearm, because you do not want your intruder or perpetrator to really survive, because if he comes out of prison, he'll come after you. You want to save the taxpayers' money, and you want to put the how can I put it? A sociopath or a wicked person, their personality is usually set, they claim, after age 5. Psychologists, psychiatrists. So you cannot rehabilitate everyone.
Right.
There are people that cannot be rehabilitated, and it's either like him or you. And you know what? Yeah, you're better off just taking them out. So 45 or the 357 or 44 Magnum. Or just a good shotgun with a slug.
Well, a good shotgun slug would be great, but for like a home defense situation, you'd want low velocity buckshot. So that way and you also would want a choke, which actually won't spread the shot out as much, but constrict it more, because you can make the spread of a shotgun either spread out more or you can constrict it. You have to put in a choke in the barrel. But if you get a good choke, low velocity buckshot, anybody that comes through that door, they're done. And the reason why I say you want low velocity is, say for example, maybe a few shot of the shots don't necessarily hit the target. They may hit a wall or something. You wouldn't have to worry about it, going through a wall or hurting a family member or a guest in your house, what have you. So that would be more of an ideal, or an AR-15 or any kind of handgun, really.
Yeah, like what you're saying is you want the shots to come out like in a tunnel directly at the target.
Right.
Instead of some of the shots getting wasted, spreading.
Right.
You want to come, boom, boom, right in this, right here, boom, like that.
But you also have to be very careful. A shotgun is pretty loud, and it has a very thunderous boom to it whenever it goes off. So it will reverberate inside of the house. So an AR-15 will blow out your eardrums because it's just such a high-pitched bark, but a shotgun would also blow your ears out because it's got such a low, bassy boom to it. And it will reverberate bad.
So if a person hears sounds of their front door being picked, a lock, or broken into, it's a good idea to put high quality, high decibel earplugs before you grab your firearm.
Well, if you only intend on maybe firing a few shots, if that, you wouldn't necessarily need earplugs. But if you have multiple invaders and it turns into a gunfight in your house, which could be possible, aside what the media wants to think, the media doesn't want to think, oh, there could be multiple home invaders who have various kinds of firearms. One of them has a revolver, one of them's got a sawed-off shotgun shoved down in his pants somewhere.
Yeah, and the good thing about, if you're a homeowner, the good thing about a dog is that they will let you know if someone's on the property before they ever break in. Mm-hmm. So it could be a deterrent. Of course, the perpetrators will shoot the dog, if they broke in, but it's like an alarm system. It doesn't have to be a Rottweiler or a German Shepherd, even though Rottweiler, the concept of him crunching down on the perpetrator and you dialing 911 extremely slowly. Hey, baby, yeah, chew on that leg a little longer. Chew on that leg, yeah. 9. Oh, I forgot the second digit. Oh, it must be 1. 1. And the Rottweiler is like really sinking in.
Yeah, I saw a Rottweiler at my work because someone had one as a service animal. Yeah. This one was one of the friendliest dogs I'd ever met. It was a big baby, but good Lord, those things are big.
No, I've met very friendly Rottweilers, and even more so, a bull mastiff, which is recorded to having the strongest bite of all dog breeds, is a sweetheart. They're great with kids and families. They don't need a lot of room because they like to lie around a lot. Mm-hmm. Sometimes drool, But but they lie around a lot, because mastiffs are not like Jack Russell Terriers. They're not like hyper.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad we're talking about guns because this is going to be a very big issue for the 2020 election. Because remember when Trump was saying no new gun legislation? If any new gun legislation is going to be brought to my desk, I will not sign it. Well, guess what, Trump? You're a fucking liar. Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't you make bump stocks illegal? You bypassed Congress. You did this by executive order and instructed the ATF to redefine a machine gun to get your bump stock banned, when in reality, all a bump stock does is just, make a semi-automatic weapon act like a full-auto weapon. Because what it does is when you put a bump stock on a weapon, you put your finger inside the trigger, and what it does is instead of firing full auto, it just does this. Watch. You pull the trigger, the recoil makes it come back, and it's basically like boop, 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 boop. So it's making a semi-auto act like a full auto, when in reality the functionality of the gun has not changed. And then he tried to redefine, well, actually he basically did redefine a machine gun to where, where a bump stock changed the functionality of a weapon to make it fully automatic. But what makes this so dangerous is if a device can change the functionality of a firearm, especially a semi-auto, making it a full auto, then what's next going to be on down the pipeline? Defining how many rounds per minute a semi-auto weapon can fire. And there is no definite determination as to how many rounds per minute a semi-auto firearm can fire. It's all determinate. It can be 1 round per minute, depending upon whether you're a sharpshooter, or hundreds of rounds per minute if you are an infantryman or infantrywoman who is trigger happy. So that's what also makes this so dangerous. It is a way to pretty much ban any semi-auto and then eventually get all firearms banned. Because that's what people want to think, is that they're putting so much massive gun control in your face. They're going to confiscate it all in one swing. No, they're not going to do it. They're just going to slowly chip away at it until it's all gone.
Mm-hmm.
And any pro-gun, any person who's pro-gun and even decent at being pro-gun is going to tear Trump a new one, saying, what about this? You said no new gun legislation. Well, what did you do here with this bump stock ban?
Well, in the words of my wonderful attorney, Rudy Giuliani, truth is not necessarily truth. No, it's not. I forgot. 7 lucky bells for the show. Yes, it is going to be an issue for 2020 as well as others. Now Trump wants to put the children from south of the border in I think Oklahoma, where they sent the internment camps for the Japanese during World War II.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to send them there now. Well, actually, that's where they sent Native Americans, as many of them died marching to the reservation. Yeah, he wants to put those poor children in the internment camps that were used for the Japanese, and I think it's in Oklahoma. That's the latest Trumpenstein news that I've heard. People have his number. The media, the American public. He's totally delusional if he thinks that everybody loves him and he's number one. And he inherited whatever positive things that Obama did. Of course, Obama had to work his ass off trying to fix G.W. Bush's war on a credit card mess, even though he got nothing but opposition for 8 years. Now, do you think maybe all of the Democrats after Jimmy Carter bashed Jimmy Carter so much because Carter was not a centrist Democrat, or he was not a corporatist? He was perhaps more liberal than, let's say, Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. Do you think that's why he sort of got blackballed? Historically, as far as everybody used to call him like a terrible, ineffective president, because now he seems very progressive and very liberal with his Habitat for Humanity program, and every time he's interviewed, he sounds extremely progressive. So maybe he was bashed because he was too progressive for the Democratic Party, which should never be called progressive.
I don't necessarily think that that's the case. I mean, one of Jimmy Carter's biggest flaws was he was an extreme micromanager. So, like, he always liked to have his finger in everything. Like, he always liked to have his say in everything, no matter what it was. That was his biggest flaw, being such a big micromanager.
He couldn't delegate, in other words.
Well, he could delegate, but not when it came to domestic affairs. Now, international affairs, he was a bit more humanitarian. I mean, he worked his ass off to end the Iranian hostage crisis in the late 70s.
Yeah. Well, he was a naval submarine captain, so maybe that's where he got his micromanagement obsession from. But it's I can see that the American media wants to continue maintaining the corporatist two-party system, and they want to allow the Democrats to lie by calling themselves progressives, which they're not. And they certainly do not want to give up on pure capitalism because it's the oligarch that pulls the puppet strings of the media,
Right.
and possibly some rigging during election time. Yeah, my advice to the Sanders people is they should not expect the DNC, with that corporate whore that runs it, to endorse Bernie Sanders this time also. Don't expect miracles. Don't expect him to win the nomination.
Right.
And also, if he gets to the point where his rallies are that massive, at the end, if I was him, I would just run as an independent democratic socialist. Now, when he's interviewed this time around, he says he's claiming to represent democratic socialism. He's saying the word.
I hate that word.
Huh?
I said I hate that word.
Well, you know why they say it? To kiss ass and suck up with the people, the networks that are interviewing them.
Socialism is inherently democratic. So democratic socialism is it's a meaningless word.
Right. Well, now, democratic means you're not giving up completely on capitalism. Well, if you're going to do that, make sure the corporations are paying most of the taxes, like in Northern Europe. Make sure they're paying their fair share.
Yeah, it worked for what little time it worked. Now, all those concessions that the bourgeoisie gave for appeasement for the hybrid system, they want it all back. And they're doing everything in their power to get it back. That's why you have to have revolution, not reform. And that's what these people don't get is you can't just appease the beast and expect it to just be completely appeased with whatever it is you want to throw at it.
No,
it makes the rules, and if it does not want to abide by the rules that it made, who's there to really fucking stop it?
Well, I'm very happy that Sanders mentions FDR's New Deal and the Second Bill of Rights, because FDR knew that you had to defang the demonic corporate entities. You can't trust these people, these idiots out there that are anti-big government and pro-corporate. They honestly feel they can trust a corporate CEO over big government. I don't trust any corporate CEO. Nothing is going to trickle down. I got news for them. It's like a wine glass at the top that as soon as the red wine reaches the very top, they replace it with a larger wine goblet, a wine glass, and then another one, and then a larger one, and then it gets bigger and bigger. Nothing's going to trickle down. You're lucky if it drips down. Or you're lucky if vapors come down. So, this whole obsession with hanging on to capitalism, that's why you have the hybrid. It's like there's this centrist, moderate Democrat who is a corporate whore, just the same. Then you have democratic socialism, which is probably between pure socialism and being a centrist Democrat. So here's pure socialism. Here's the democratic socialism, and then here's the centrist corporate whore, democrat.
Right.
So the compromise of democratic socialism seems to be in between those two. Like you said, the hybrid to appease the evil beast, and the evil beast is like negotiating with hardened criminals or terrorists. You can't negotiate with them.
Exactly. I mean, that's what people just do not get is history does not side with the idea of you could legislate socialism in. And think that just because you went through the legislative process that somehow the bourgeoisie and capitalism are going to play by the rules of your new legislative government. I mean, that's kind of what's happened with Venezuela is, yeah, they had a revolution, but it was pretty much what I call the reform revolution, where it was just basically done through the legislative branch, but they've not had full-on revolution and not full-on socialism. And now they're having to pay the price for not fully implementing socialism. And I get all this all the time. Look at Venezuela. This is the failure of socialism. This shows you just how violent, evil, corrupt, and despotic socialism is.
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, yeah? Well, have you forgotten this little thing called United States foreign intervention in countries? I guarantee you the United States interferes in every country throughout the world because they like to put their fingers in everybody else's pie but their own.
absolutely. And these flag waving right wing sycophant lemming fools also say that universal single payer healthcare doesn't work, and it's horrible in Canada and Europe, and it's all bullshit. It's all bullshit. And the same person that the same people that claim this, they're usually the so-called brown-nosing company man that is on salary and is willing to work all day and all night for the man, and work for free over 40 hours, thinking that, oh wow, I have a job, I have a great job title. I'm an executive. Oh really? Divide how many hours you give for free, divide it weekly, and tell me what your hourly rate is. You know, simple math.
Right.
It's bullshit. You know, it works. They're happy. I don't see Scandinavians anxious to move to the United States. I haven't seen a single Scandinavian immigrant. I mean, we have lots of Polish. We have Russians coming over here. Philippine, of course, third world country. Various Asians. But I haven't seen any Scandinavians or Canadians anxious to relocate to the United States.
Exactly. I mean, we've had this discussion before.
Yeah.
Universal healthcare is going to be better than what we've got because it is going to bring costs down, because when you eliminate competition and trade over a basic human necessity, of course it's going to bring costs down. And then cost can be determined by, labor, the cost to make medicine, what have you. That's a much fairer price as compared to the for-profit system that we have.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I mean, Bernie Sanders has shown the details of how it's going to amount to huge savings. He's done it many times. It works. Socialism works for the lower 98%. Period. Okay. And the right-wing capitalism is ideal for the greedy monetary hoarders of the top 2%. And these are the same people that I know of that drive very expensive cars in my region that will not say thank you if you hold the door open for them, because it reflects their personality. And this is the same BMW or Audi that tailgates you with their halogen lights, because they won't pass you on the left lane. Oh no, they want to bully you, because this reflects their personality. This reflects the kind of people they are. And but you know what? They'll never confront you to your face and talk shit, because they'll get knocked out. But they'll do it behind a keyboard with keyboard courage, or behind the wheel on a highway.
Yeah, that's basically right. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, where I work at, I have actually met the CEO of the grocery chain that I work for. The corporate office is in Abingdon, Virginia, and he goes to the various stores throughout the entire company. I mean, he's hardly ever at the corporate office because the day that I was able to meet him is we are very big on bringing in local produce. So we got in some strawberries from Scott's Farm that's over in Unicoi County.
That's great.
What?
I mean, it's great to support local farmers.
Right. Scott's Farms is in Unicoi County. If you look at northeast Tennessee, all right, the northeasternmost county up here in this little corner right up here is Johnson County. And then I'm in Sullivan County. That's the county right beside Johnson County. Then you've got Washington County below us, and then you've got Carter County, and then Unicoi County. Unicoi County is this county right down here before it goes to northwest North Carolina. And he was coming in to see the strawberries that have been brought in from Scott's Farms to see, because people have been complaining that some of the batches that have been coming in were either overly ripe or they had molded. So he's coming into all the area stores to check to see what was coming in.
Yeah, well, he's a very hands-on CEO.
Yeah,
he's that's good. He's not a paper pusher that sits in his office most of the time. Yeah, that actually that is good that he's doing that. I'm not saying like all CEOs are greedy, parasitic assholes, but a lot of them are. Like for instance, why does a major charity need a CEO making astronomical amounts of money? It's a fundraiser. It's supposed to consist of volunteer work.
right.
We mentioned that in the past, and that's why I don't donate. Unless it's something a good charity like one of the children's hospitals out there, like St. Jude's or the Shriners or something like that. But other than that, capitalism, it'll never work to the lower 98%, and
Right.
never has worked. And the only way that the hybrid democratic socialism would work is if they stick to their guns and they really do make the rich pay their fair share in taxes and fund, subsidize programs for the poor, even though the Republicans don't want to do that, but they don't realize who are their consumers. You're running a corporation, or you own a company, or you're a CEO. And you happen to vote Republican, and you don't want to pay taxes at all. Who are your consumers? How many refrigerators does the rich buy? Your consumers is the little guy.
Mm-hmm.
The little guy. The more money you put in the pockets, in the wallets of the little guy or female purse, the more the economy will be stimulated.
Exactly.
More money they will put back into the economy.
That's another selling point for socialism.
Yeah, look at like Costco. I hear Costco's CEO is very employee oriented, and his benefits are decent, and his pay is decent, and he wants people who work for Costco to also shop at Costco. And maybe Trader Joe is like that. The owners of Trader Joe, because many of their items, even though they are organic, health food type products, happen to be low priced. They're reasonable.
Right.
It's the mentality of not being greedy, of not looking short term, looking long term.
Right.
Not being short sighted. And I think the first book that was written about such a mindset to run a company, I think, was Sony. The CEO of Sony in the past was sick and tired of hearing the term "made in Japan" being negative, and he decided to totally turn everything around and start producing the best quality products and not being, short-sighted.
Right.
How much can I make or steal now? Not thinking long-term, not thinking about word of mouth advertisement from people, getting great reviews, so on and so forth, not thinking long-term. Now, if you think long-term, your business, your corporation is going to prosper. But in order to have the full prosperity, you have to have the trickle-down economics. But you're not going to have it if companies continue to outsource jobs out of the country, or if the CEO sucks up most of the money and he doesn't allow any trickling down at all, like the Papa John pizza scumbag.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I have nothing against, companies having jobs outside the United States, but for every job they have outside of the United States, they need to have a job here inside of the United States. I mean, I have nothing against, people having jobs, but they need to be fair when it comes to giving people jobs. They need to have American workers, that way Americans can support themselves, but they also need to have jobs in other countries so those workers can support themselves, and they need to be free from exploitation.
Well, I told this right-wing individual who is not wealthy, one of those flag-waving right-wing people that are not rich, okay? The one that's against universal health care and against all social services.
Right, you can keep telling me, just my wife's hollering for me, just hang on.
Okay. Yeah, I said, why? I says, what if the poor person, because the job market sucks and the economy sucks in reality, what if the poor person cannot find a job? And his answer was, well, tell him to go paint the house or something. Well, what if you can't find a house to paint? Or what if, give a man a fish, he'll eat for the day, teach him how to fish, he'll eat for the lifetime. Well, what if the river is polluted? It's like it's like they're trying to sweep the poor under the carpet, because if you and then I mentioned that corporations that insist on outsourcing and plus putting their having offshore bank accounts and offshore mailboxes, like in the Cayman Islands, let's say. And then the individual said, well, do you know why they do that? Because it's the fault of the poor. All the freebies that we have to give to the poor. Well, I got news for people like that. Social services as a whole make up a very tiny percent of that pie. I think it's like 2%. And the military industrial complex makes up like around almost 2/3 of the overall spending budget. These are the facts. But for some reason, the right wing always wages war against the poor. So hold on. Anyway, another 7 lucky bells for the show. So anyway, yeah. So the people that are middle class and carrying the tax burden continually blame the poor for their plight. They'll never blame the man at the top. They'll never blame the corporate CEO for the reason why the middle class are carrying the tax burden. The middle class are carrying the tax burden not because of the poor. They never think of why the Republicans always wage war and blame the poor for everything. They say, oh, that's why the jobs are outsourced. That's why there's offshore bank accounts and offshore mailboxes in the Cayman Islands, because of all the freebies we give the poor. And what I said before, Gary, was that social services that Republicans want to eliminate only makes up like about 2% of the total budget. The military-industrial complex makes up almost 2/3.
Right.
But they're always blaming the poor for everything. Oh, that's why the companies are forced to have everything offshore. And I said, well, since they're not going to create American jobs, I would tariff the hell out of their products coming off the cargo ships. You know, if everything they do is offshore because of greed, we have no choice but to tariff them, because how on earth is the growing poor population going to survive? Because the middle class will keep shrinking and become part of the poor population. And eventually you're going to have a nation without surplus cash to spend on your products. They're going to be impoverished, even though you blame everything on the poor, because right-wing people always demonize and blame the poor for everything. Oh, it's the welfare, it's the welfare. Have them go paint a house. We don't need social services. Yeah, it's so easy to say that. So that's what I meant by sweeping the poor under the carpet. You know, there has to be opportunities available for the lower 98%. If there's no economy and job market that's flourishing, there are no opportunities available. Therefore, the economy, there's less money being spent. But they continue to blame everything on the poor. Oh, all the freebies of all those people that don't have insurance that come to the emergency room. Well, they shouldn't. Healthcare should not be privatized and a profit-oriented industry. It's supposed to be an industry of compassion with people that are sort of like public servants. You want to be a doctor and you're greedy? Don't be a doctor. Be a lawyer.
Oh, they're going to jab at me now, are we?
No, but there are some. Well, hey, some of those progressive activists did pass the bar exam too.
I was just picking a resin with you.
Some of them are lawyers, except for Alexandria, the succulent little Latina, Cortez.
Oh God, do not get me started on her.
Alexandria, Alexandria. You ever see her boyfriend? He's a ginger. He's got red hair, like Alfred. He's like Alfred E. Newman on Mad Magazine. What the hell's she doing with him? But she can have James P. Madonna, the hardest hitting, well, aside from you, the hardest hitting progressive around. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She doesn't have a law degree, even though she could really take classes and get one. I think she should do that now that she's a congresswoman. It would be good for her.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there is one thing that socialism can actually do that would really benefit society. Is everyone has this concept of, like you were talking about, the welfare state. Oh, it's the welfare, it's the poor, it's this, it's that, it's blah, 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 blah. Well, believe it or not, socialism, yeah, it kind of is like a welfare state, but it's not a burdensome welfare state. So, like, once you have your revolution and you overthrow capitalism and you install socialism, one of the biggest ways that socialism helps bring people out of poverty is, while though you still have the welfare programs, they eventually will disappear once, wages start going up, jobs start going up, healthcare becomes free, education becomes free, access to infrastructure gets better, et cetera, et cetera. Eventually, you wouldn't have to have things like free clinics, because you could just go to a doctor or a hospital and just get the healthcare you need for anybody. And then you wouldn't have to have this thing called food stamps to ensure that people have food, because they'd have enough money from their free from exploitative jobs to afford food. So seems like you'd think that something like that would make natural allies, people who are against the quote-unquote welfare state. But oh no, it doesn't. You'd think it'd make a natural ally, at least on the surface.
Well, you know what Republicans really want, and this is my take on it.
What?
I don't have a concrete evidence, but I have a strong hunch. I think they want the middle class to shrink and become part of the America's poor. So and possibly have the homeless population grow, so they can arrest them and put them in privatized prisons and get free slave labor for the oligarch. They want to enslave. They want to make the poor so desperate. Okay, and they even education they want to privatize. They don't want public school education. They don't want anything public. They just want all tax money allocated for the military-industrial complex. They want only the rich kids to get a good education, because only the rich kids would be able to go to private school. They want to dumb down the regular Joe Six-Pack's kids, you know, the little guy's kids. They want to dumb them down so they get poor, desperate, and they end up working for chicken feed wages or being enslaved in a privatized prison. That's what they want. I don't give a shit, you know, if you people out there that are spying on us, because I know that if they're spying, if Google spies on us and Facebook Messenger spies on us, then chances are we're getting spied on every day. Hey, oligarch, I have an itch right in the center of my forehead.
Yeah, same here.
There needs to be capitalism here, right here. DNC, Republican Party. Itch. Ooh. Yeah. I don't give a damn.
That's the thing with Democrats, and liberals, conservatives, fascists, anarchists, anybody who's not really a socialist or communist. Yeah, this one's for you. Yeah, and the corporatist centrists, ass kissing people on the take Democrats. Stop calling yourself progressives, please, because you're not progressives. Jesse Ventura was right. A politician is not obligated to meet with lobbyists, therefore not obligated to take anyone's bribes. And but you got corporate whores like ugly old turtle face Mitch McConnell. Oh God, no, turtle face and turtleneck. No, he is so ugly. He'd make an onion cry. Actually, a turtle is a cute animal. But he does look like a very old tortoise from the Galapagos Islands with sagging skin and everything. I'm going to tell you right now, a turtle is not a cute animal. They are not cute animals to be around, because they will go in their shells and they'll hiss at you. How is that supposed to be cute and friendly? Well, if an alligator snapper grabs a hold of your forearm or your hand, that's not cute at all. But the thing is, is such an obvious corporate whore. Is blatantly obvious that he's a racist too. He wants to make Obama a one-term president. That's his objective. Hey, what about getting work done for the American people that elected you? All the idiots in Wolf County, Kentucky, living in shacks that don't have a pot to piss in, that bang their cousins. They vote. They keep reelecting Mitch McConnell. Sounds more like West Virginia. Yeah. I'm sorry, but that's a well-deserved jab at West Virginia. Yeah. Well. If you're living very crudely, there's a good chance that you won't have a nightlife to meet somebody outside of your family. So there's a good chance that you'll have a roll in the hay with your cousins. Right. I mean, I've been to Kentucky. I mean, Kentucky either has like some really nice places or really bad places. It's like somewhere in between. At least here in Tennessee, you have a good mixed bag of some really good places, some really bad places, then yet somewhere in the middle. Like, I would consider this, I mean, it's not really like a really good place. It's not really a bad place. It's kind of like, it's more like somewhere in the middle to good. I mean, there's some good paying jobs around here, and the people around here are good. But what I also like about here is there's a good variety of people. They're not really Democrat. They're not really Republican, although there's a good mix of both. But overall, it kind of balances out to moderate or independent.
Well, if you're that poor, that where you're living in a log cabin or a shack as your main residence, and gee, I wonder if the postman ever delivers to those shacks. But anyway, I digress. If you're that poor, and you see that the Republican that you keep reelecting is not doing a damn thing for you, every 4 years you keep reelecting him, and he's not going to do anything for you. Right. He hasn't done anything positive for you. Don't they have the common sense that these folks supposedly have, you know, to say, hey, this is not working out. After 4 years, I would say, what have you done for me? Oh, I'm voting for, I'm jumping crossing party lines, and I'm voting for a Democrat next time. But these people keep reelecting the Republican that continuously does nothing for the poor in Mississippi, West Virginia, some parts of Kentucky, and they keep reelecting them. And my hunch on that is they're religious fanatic zealots. Oh, Google just froze me.
Yeah, you're fine now.
Yes, yeah, I wonder about that. There are religious freak zealots that are obsessed with right to life agendas.
Oh, let's not also forget. Prepare for my extreme Southern accent mocking to get ready to happen. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Rise up, Republicans. I don't want them lib commies in my life.
Hey, they're baby killers. Those Democrats are baby killers. Hey, I got news for you, you dumbass. A fertilized egg is no more a human baby than an acorn is an oak tree. It's a potential life. That's it. It's not a life. God used to smite everybody back in the Old Testament if you happen to be a religious fanatic.
Yeah, and that guy that we believe in is going to smite you down, you lib atheist.
Hey, you see in the news that some famous evangelical pastors who used to always say, oh, natural disasters, hurricanes, floods, they died because God smite them for a reason. Well, a couple of them, they lost their big ass mansion because they got flooded out themselves. The thing is that I think they're hanging on to their fanaticism when it comes to abortion, and that's why they vote Republican, because of their insanity. Their insane cult is what it is. Evangelical cult. You think maybe they banged their cousins because Adam and Eve had to commit incest in order to populate the world? You think that's the basis for them banging their relative, unless their cousin is that hot looking? I don't know. Chances are they're not.
I mean, let's try to wrap this up by 4:30 because my wife said that we got some really bad storms coming. I can kind of see like over towards that way. It's getting kind of bad. So I said I'll probably be here by about 4:30. But yeah, I'm glad you keep bringing this up because people do not understand the importance of the working class. The middle class was put there as the buffer zone, as I've talked about before, to show that, hey, capitalism really is not the rich versus the poor. Because look here, there's rich, there's poor, but hey, there's that buffer zone to show that, hey, some people have made it and some people have not, that you have an equal chance to succeed or fail. But guess what? Where really has that come true and has still stayed true? Yeah, it was true for a while, but now we see the middle class is dying because capitalism is really advancing really quickly in all the wrong ways. And in fact, as Lenin said, fascism is capitalism in decay. That's why we're seeing such a rise in fascism now. And I'm going to go ahead and say now Trump is a fucking fascist.
Yeah, and historically, a very tiny percentage. My late co-host read it from a book that only like about 10% since 1776
Yeah, you've told me about that.
became upwardly mobile. A
Mhm.
very tiny percentage have become upwardly mobile. Now, the people that vote Republicans said to me, "What does that mean? What's upwardly mobile?" Well, that means your standard of living, your increased due to your own efforts based on your environment, based on opportunity. Uh, if your standard of living stays the same your whole life
No.
and your kids,
Okay.
and your kids stay the same,
Mm-hmm.
then listen, if you're gonna get hit with a F5 tornado,
No, we're not. It's not that bad. We just got some bad storms
yeah.
coming, but they'll probably be here in a few minutes. We can wrap this up. Yeah,
All right, yeah, we've been on for a while.
yeah, and I'm glad that. Yeah, here.
All right, listen, yeah, let's wrap it up. Yeah, I'm a stickler for being a stickler.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad that people need to finally understand the importance of the working class because they really are the backbone of society. It's not the poor, it's not the rich, it is the working class. Because as George Carlin said, we're the ones who do all the work and pay all the taxes.
Absolutely.
The rich do hardly any work, if any at all, and they pay no taxes. The poor are just there to scare the shit out of the middle class. Just keep them showing up at those jobs.
Well, the rich do what they do because they can, because they pay off the politicians. It's that simple. Oh, by the way, I did a whiskey show. It went well with Jay Terrio, and I made an announcement about the show we're having right now.
Mm-hmm.
Where the hell are they? Where are all the craft beer enthusiasts that said in comments, "Oh, you're doing a show with Gary W. Owens. That's great." One of them said, "When is it going to be on?" And oh, damn it!
They'll watch it later. Probably.
You know what? I told them Wednesday at 3. I forgot. I didn't know we were going to spur of the moment. We were going to do it on Monday. Never mind. I take that back. I can't blame the guy if I said Wednesday. But yeah,
anyway,
they'll watch it. It's being recorded. So.
yeah, getting back to the importance of the working class.
Yeah.
I mean, one could probably even argue that the way that capitalism has been towards the rich, it's basically been socialism for the rich. And we see exactly how well they're doing. Right now, they're getting the best education. They're getting the best healthcare. They're getting the best everything. So if you can have socialism for the rich, which is basically what capitalism is.
Right.
I wonder what it'd be like if it was socialism for the working class, like actual real socialism for the working class. We'd have the best education we've had in human existence. We have the best healthcare in human existence, access to better jobs, pay, infrastructure, free from exploitation, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, what would be much different as compared to paying taxes, surplus value, i.e. profit, going to pay for everything. So when you have all that going towards infrastructure, healthcare, education, being reinvested back into jobs, increasing pay, things like that, I mean, it's a no-brainer to have socialism, at least on an if you don't necessarily agree with the philosophy of that, it's like it's atheistic, it's dialectical materialism, at least on an economic argument, it at least is the most logical and is the best way to progress forward from here. At least even on the economics level.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's nothing but, we have nothing but proven facts and science behind our agenda of being a progressive, being a socialist. And the right wing has no facts and no science, and they just make up their own rules and say crazy things like truth is not truth. And which I don't, and of course, ignoring the scientists when it comes to climate change, which they do, which is insane. Because guess what? When the shit hits the fan, You cannot eat money. You got that, oligarch or top 2%? You cannot eat money.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could, but
I mean, you could try to eat it, but
it wouldn't be tasty, and you'd probably die from all the chemicals and shit they put in the paper and the ink. But to be honest, with the way they are, I really care less. So go ahead, if they want to eat their money, go right ahead.
And their bunkers that they're building, you know, the old Cold War missile silos converted into underground villages and dwellings. Well, guess what? Eventually, they're going to run out of food and drinkable water, and when they come to the surface, if something happens, there'll be too much radioactivity at the surface, and they're just prolonging their death because, you know, their greed makes them motivates them to build these underground dwellings,
right?
Whatever, and unless you have, even if you had hydroponic gardens, subterranean hydroponic gardens with full spectrum lighting for them, the vegetables. How are you going to produce electricity for your underground bunkers?
Exactly. I mean, I hate to say it. It's not. They're not going to win this. No matter how hard they try, they are not going to win this. And the final selling point of socialism is, for those who want to say, "Oh, it's not going to fix a damn thing that economically doesn't make sense." Well, guess what? Me give you another little economics lesson that applies to any system. Doesn't matter what system it's under. When you eliminate competition in trade, i.e., eliminating the profit motive, it's going to inherently bring costs down. So if you bring costs down, what money you've got, you can make it much more cost effective and actually have this little thing called, having money left over. So bring the cost of education and healthcare down while at the same time increasing job wages, increasing access to infrastructure, and also another thing under socialism, utilities are paid for. So you don't have to pay water or electricity because that's viewed as a basic human necessity. So if all that can be paid for and provided for everyone, we'll still have money left over. What really are we still fighting about?
No, it's all pros and with really no cons. Unless you're a greedy rich person and stingy and everything, there's really no cons to pure socialism.
And then to wrap it all up with the final quote, oh yeah, they always want to talk about the failures of socialism and this, that, and the other. But where really has been the success of capitalism? Fidel Castro. Prove me wrong. Where has the success of capitalism really been? Where capitalism has set out to prove that it is the best system in the world, that it's supposed to bring people out of poverty, it's supposed to do this and do that. Where is this Adam Smith utopia that capitalism is supposed to be? Because to be honest, I don't see it. In fact, I see the exact opposite. Because pretty much the whole world lives under some form of capitalism, except for the few remote areas, which are still considered like the fourth world and barbarous.
Yeah. Well, when I was a kid, I actually heard Ronald Reagan say that he was anti-monopoly. He was against monopolies because competition produces better products and brings prices down. And he was right. He was right. Now it's all about monopolies. When
I mean by competition and trade, I'm not talking like, I'm talking like the free market system, getting rid of the competition trade in that regard. But competition as in like, to see who can work harder to make the best products. That's not what we're eliminating.
Well, the person
competition trade is in the free market.
The person that I had a debate with, the middle class Republican person that was against any form of big government or social services, he says if it wasn't for those big corporations and their CEOs, you would not have technology. You would not have higher technology.
BS. That's
what he's saying. Folks, for you people that are watching or going to watch, This is a wonderful 5 terabyte solid state external hard drive that my brother-in-law gave me. So this individual was saying, I would not be able to have this under a pure socialist system.
Bullshit.
You know,
No, I said socialism is not against having nice things. It's just against the class antagonisms and the class nature of capitalism. Big, big difference.
right, exactly. And in that case, let's wrap it up. It was a blockbuster show as always.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much, Gary W. Owens, and until the next program, they will see us out there in cyberspace, and I just really needed to go on that rant at the beginning about the campaign.
Right.
Sick and tired of hearing about Joe Biden is on top. Joe Biden, flip flops, and he's against many democratic socialism programs to help the little guy and the poor.
Mm-hmm.
He flip flops. He's a centrist. I'm sick of hearing that word because call them what they are. They're all corporate whores, and that's it. Plain and simple.
Right.
They're on the take.
Right. And the last thing that I'm definitely going to be doing is for this 2020 election, you know how pro-gun I am in the stance that we talk about, the socialist communist stance on gun ownership, is we really need to push towards having the Second Amendment being abolished, because it's the liberal versus conservative narrative of gun ownership, but replace it with the right to bear arms socially and collectively. Because I'm getting so sick and tired of the liberal and conservative narrative of do nothing versus ban everything. I'm so sick and tired of it. I mean, we need to change the way that we view guns. Guns are utilitarian, and they can be used for just about anything. They can be used for self-defense, defense of you, defense of socialism, but also carrying on your person. That's also included in the right to bear arms socially and collectively as a class, to exercise class power. But the Republicans, as well as Democrats, liberals, conservatives, they're not going to go for that. And immediately, I guarantee you, once people start rising up and exercising the right to bear arms socially and collectively, it is going to be squashed like that. And you better believe that they will unite to try to ban guns to prevent an uprising like that. Watch it fucking happen. In fact, they're already trying to do it right now. It's just being kind of, kept under the radar.
Okay.
Because they know people are going to eventually rise up. So they're going to do anything and everything in their power to make any kind of weaponry illegal, to make us slaves. And that's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what happens when you disarm the population. I mean,
or make an attempt to.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be making the gun issue a very, very hot topic for this election. I really want to get people riled up about this.
Yeah. Well, you make it part of your monologue. Of course, I don't want to take up the entire show about firearms, but you do your gun monologue, and you update people on anything that you've learned about it, and including the education, the tips that you gave about the AR-15 and about women and firearms, and different things like for instance, when I was a kid, G. Gordon Liddy had a radio talk show. He said, "Don't worry about pepper spray, mace. Get the Hornet spray that shoots like 30 feet in a narrow stream. Nail that sucker right in the eyes from a distance." That was a good tip. Oh, by the way, if you're in a car, make sure you roll the window down before you shoot the perpetrator in the eyes with the Hornet spray. But yeah, I mean, hey, these are great tips, and we're here to educate people, and as well as enlighten them and light a fire under their ass if they have the brain cells to absorb what they hear on this show like a sponge. Not everybody will, but you know, maybe if we could reach enough people out there, so be it. So anyway, I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you later. Salute, comrade.
Salute, comrade. Hey.